Like I just hit record and we're just going with it now, you guys. Hi, welcome back to the Cosmic Compass. We missed last week. Sorry.
Life.
Yeah, life got in the way, but it's okay because today's a good one. We are going to talk about manifesting.
Apparently, Jen has some like mind blowing revelation.
Now, listen, when I tell you guys this what'd you call it? Mind blowing. When I tell you guys this mind blowing revelation, if either one of you say, "Oh yeah, I saw a TikTok about that," I'm gonna be so mad because every single time I tell one of you guys something, "Oh yeah, I saw a TikTok," I'm like, I literally thought I made this up. Like I thought I just broke ground on something, and you just ruined it. You took it away from me.
No, you did break ground on something in your reality.
In my reality.
Yeah.
But before we get
you're not alone. You're not alone. That's the only reason why we're saying that. It's just you're not alone.
I appreciate it. But still, don't say you heard a TikTok. Actually, no, Tommy, because I do feel like I'm onto something and possibly maybe nobody's never heard of it. But before we get into it, because we're going to put everybody on their seats because that's what we do, right? Let's quickly go over, I guess, what manifesting is for people that are new people. I I was doing a little bit of reading today, and just out of curiosity, I'm like, let me go to like a regular like psychologytoday.com and see what they say about what manifesting is. And oh boy, if you guys ever have a chance, for those of you that do like believe in this, like please go read the article that they wrote about it because it's hilarious. They touch on a lot of what we do believe in, but they're like, but it's not proven. Literally the CIA has a freaking document talking about all of this stuff. So it's funny. But anyways, manifesting is obviously like the power of thoughts. Being able to make your, thoughts into reality through energy and all that nonsense. The concept is centuries years old. Am I saying that right? Centuries years old. Centuries year old? It's old as hell, this concept of manifesting. It is all about putting yourself on the right vibration or energies. People like to use vision boards and journaling, and they like to use different manifesting techniques, but those are essentially just tools to help you vibrate on the proper level to match with the universe, to become co-creators with the universe of your reality. Does anybody? That's
so it's so funny how things work out. So I was struggling being in my own reality today, and I was just really feeling like, what always makes me feel better, which is why I'm so glad we're here today, is doing like spiritual things, right? Mm-hmm. So I was watching, is it Dolores Cannon or Doris?
Oh my God, it's been so long. Dolores.
Yes.
Dolores.
So if you're not familiar with her, she does a lot of, she has a big background in hypnosis, but through like the things that her, so she focuses a lot on like past life regression, and through her clients where she accesses their subconscious, they come back with similar experiences. And she uses those to combine what she feels like are messages from your higher self or source or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And she's written a bunch of books and whatever. So today she was talking about being the director, writer, and actor in your own movie, right? Mm-hmm. And so like that's kind of what manifesting to me is, right? So you get complete, or like I think I've said this before, but like Harold and the Purple Crown, if you've ever read that book, you get to make whatever you want out of this existence. Right? Mm-hmm. You came here willingly, right? You asked to come here to learn a lesson or whatever your reason was, right? Clear your karmic debts, right? And you set the stage, like, you asked to be in this life with these people, with these experiences for whatever reason, right? Mm-hmm. And so like, And everybody comes at manifesting from like different ways, right? So you can look at it from like that aspect of being the director, the writer, the actor, and you get to do whatever you want kind of thing. Like kind of like Minecraft or any of those games where you get to like a blank canvas and you just get to create it, right? Or like they used to have like Farmville, and what's the other one where you build like different empires or whatever?
SimCity.
Maybe. So then
Mhm.
but then, right, you have like the quantum physics part of it, right? And this
Mhm.
is where, for those who might be on the fence of like believing that manifesting is true and that you really do own that power, right?
Mhm.
They talk about how everything is energy, right? And on a
Mhm.
quantum level. So we have people with bigger brains than me that talk about quantum energy and the quantum field, right? And when they break down what you were saying about being a vibrational match, right? Things that vibrate on the same level, they attract like magnets,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
So if you look at everything you want in life, whether it be like a tangible thing or an experience or whatever that is, right? You just have to become a vibrational match for it. So then when
Mhm.
we talk about manifesting,
Hmm.
like you said, there are different ways of getting to that point,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
So we start with visualizing it, right? But then when you dig deeper into the layers of manifesting, because a lot of people feel like it doesn't work
Hmm.
because you think that you're just
Yeah.
gonna be able to sit here and be like, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it. And you're gonna open your eyes and you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There it
Yeah.
is. But it's obviously a little bit more involved than that, and where I think that's really where like you start bringing in like the like spiritual side of it, where you're
Mhm.
like meditating on things, right? And so they talk to you, and I know Jen and I've talked about this before about living in the end,
Hmm.
right? So
Mhm.
sitting with yourself and thinking about what that feels like and painting that picture right in your brain about describing to yourself like a day in my perfect life looks like this.
Mhm.
And then you feel that and you get excited about it, and that excitement and that energy and that motivation starts putting you like a magnet to the thing that you want.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I someone put it in a really good way once, that basically, like, let's just say your dream life, right? Picture it in your mind, and then it gets broken into a million pixels, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so when you start the day, like let's say, for example, meditating, and you're really thinking about it, really thinking about it, really thinking about it, right? You have all of your pixels on a string, and you're holding your collection of pixels, and you can see the whole picture together, right? But then as the day goes on and we encounter challenges or lessons or whatever, right? Things that we're viewing in our like conditioned way of good or bad or
Mhm.
whatever, right? It affects our vibration, and when it lowers our vibration, one of those pixels floats away back to the sky, right?
Mhm.
And then as the day goes on, I had a rough day, I got in a fight with my spouse or friend or whatever, my kids are being assholes, whatever the thing is, and then at the day you only have like 5 pixels left. And that's where manifesting becomes like this emotional roller coaster,
Yeah.
because I had
Mhm.
it, I could feel it, and then I let all of these trivial outside external factors just start ripping pixels
Yeah.
out
Oh
of my
my
head.
God.
Mhm.
I love this so much. I just love how you
Mhm.
described all of that. Like that was just perfection. I love it.
So then you start over every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, so some people say that's the whole point of life,
Hmm.
right? Is that, and again, according to Dolores Cannon, like other planets are like different dimensions and different things, or like different levels of this game.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
Earth is supposed to be like the hardest level,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so you have to give yourself some credit. Like you chose to jump into this like really hard level, not knowing anything,
Yeah.
not knowing what the point
Yeah.
is, not knowing what you're supposed to be trying to do. And so the more you learn about all these little different things, either about yourself or about manifesting or about whatever, right? You start to put those little cookie crumbs together, right? Breadcrumbs, whatever you want to call them. And then you start figuring it out. And then when you start figuring out, then it gets really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Manifesting,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
bro, it pumps me up.
Oh God.
It
Right.
pumps me up.
Same. Same. Because the way it happens, and that's the other thing too, is like um one of the big keys with it is you have to remain open to possibilities. And
Mhm.
you have to always remember that the universe knows what you need. So whatever it is that you're manifesting, it might not come to you exactly how you're imagining it. It's going to come back to you better. So you might be like, oh my God, I've got to find a way to like, we'll just say some surface level stuff right now because not everybody, a lot of people use manifesting like it's a magic genie and they just can wish it, like you said earlier, like, and then it's magically there. But like, let's just say for this scenario with surface level, right? Oh my God, I just really need $500 because I got to make my rent. I got to make my rent. So, you start manifesting, being able to make your rent, being able to make your rent. Maybe you miss your rent. You weren't able to make it, but maybe 6 months down the road, an opportunity arises and now you're able to get a home, like buy your own house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not always going to happen the way you manifest it or the way you're envisioning it, but you just have to remain open to whatever it is that the universe is going to gift you, and then to remember to always be grateful.
I knew I should have saved that image when I saw it. So I saw an image today that described exactly that. And it was like a book. And on one side it had your plan is what it said. And it had a little flower, just one pretty little flower. And it was like the universe's plan. And it was like a whole page of flowers. They were still flowers.
Yeah.
Like one was just way more than you could
Right.
ever even imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they talk about not getting wrapped around the how, right?
Yeah.
And as much as we want to use visualizations to put us in a ballpark, right? Like you said, be open to the fact that it might be different than you had pictured in your head, but knowing that it's always going to be better.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. And I think that's what the word faith means to me.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. You like hit it right on the head. It's like, you got to keep going, because you can manifest something tonight and then tomorrow it not happen. And you just like, it doesn't work. You just negated what you manifested. Like you just took it out of the universe, because the universe is like, oh, all right, done. You don't believe anymore. You're not going to be on the vibrational energy that you need to be on. So now you're down here where you need to be up here. So you manifest it and you let it go. You don't sit here and, like Liz said, wonder when, wonder how. You manifest it, you let it go, and just keep doing like your affirmations, your vision boards, and all that stuff to keep you up there. Sorry if I just hit your ear holes. I'm sorry. But, you try to keep your vibrations up there, and then you're going to attract what you're wanting.
But just like with anything, and I think this is where like it flops for a lot of people, is the first time you do anything, it's always challenging. The first time I tried to learn how to crochet, I tried to make a square and I made a pickle holder. I wish I would have kept it. It was very comical. Okay, because whatever, right? The first time you try to ride a bike, how many times do you fall off before finally like you cruise down the street?
Yeah.
Everything takes practice and practice and more practice, and you fall down and you get back up and you practice and you practice and you practice. And I think that when people talk about manifesting, they get really excited.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, and usually, especially when it's somebody who has everything that you want already, right? Or living like your version of a perfect life. And you're like, oh man. But like what you're missing is like the time that it takes to get there. They didn't get there overnight. Right.
Yeah.
And also too, like you have to remember, like you said, gratitude for where you already are. Right. Like really increases your vibrational level. Right. That just makes it happen so much faster. But then also remembering that it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah.
Right. So all the steps that happen in between where you are and where you want to be are the part that you're supposed to be focusing on.
Yeah.
Right. So it reminds me of like The Hobbit, right? Like they were going to Mordor or whatever, but like look at all the stuff that happened to them between when they leave the Shire and when they go to Mordor. Like so many things, right? And they come back as different people, and like all that is life in a 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie, you know?
I love it.
Do you guys think that because there's many different ways to manifest. Do you think that there's a certain thing that that helps you guys out? Like for me, for instance, I read, and I've been doing this for years, where you kind of live in the now. Like if you're manifesting something, like it is actually happening to you right now. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not what I do all the time. I mean, there's times
yeah.
where it's like that it comes easy with certain situations, but I'll say that the thing that works most for me is
Mhm.
when I go to bed at night. And I used to laugh about this because I used to tell people, like, I would tell myself bedtime stories before I go to sleep. But essentially, those bedtime stories weren't stories. They were things that I wanted in my life. Like, that's where I would always put myself in situations and be like, because I just would play, like, I guess, play a movie of myself in my head before I go to
Mhm.
sleep. And I think essentially I was manifesting without realizing. But now that I've started to get a grasp on manifesting, that's what I do right before I go to sleep. And I cannot for the life of me remember what that status is right before you fall asleep. It's Neville Goddard talks about it a lot. But there's that time period right before you're in between sleep and not sleep, and that's like the best
Yeah.
time to manifest. And so when I go to sleep telling myself like these bedtime stories, essentially saying this is what I want and this is where I want my life to go type of thing, that's I'm manifesting it. And
Mhm.
some of it's happening. Like
Mhm.
honestly, I mean, you guys know. So for those of you that don't, um, I moved back home to Ohio from Tennessee a year ago. Before that, I had every intention of staying in Tennessee. Obviously, things didn't work out the way I wanted, and things happened, forced my hand to come back home. I was like, oh, I needed to be home anyways, wanted to be closer to family. So then I kind of dragged my feet like most of last summer as far as looking for houses.
Mhm.
But then towards the end of summer, I started, looking, and I was like I was going to sleep at night imagining what I wanted out of my house. And I kept looking at houses. I was on Zillow every night scrolling. New houses weren't really popping up. The market sucked. And it just wasn't working, or it was just too expensive. But I was like, I kept the faith. And I'm like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen when it's meant to happen. And I just kept envisioning at night, telling myself a bedtime story, what I want out of this house. And I got almost exactly what I wanted out of when I finally
Mhm.
found it. Like, and the house that, when this house came up for sale, it came up so quick. It was right when I had just talked to Veterans United and said, I'm really getting serious about finding a house. They put me in contact with a realtor, and she was like, okay, I'm going to line up some houses for you. I said, okay, just so you know, I am planning on looking at this house. There's an open house, whatever. And she's like, well, I can get you in there now. So we went, looked at it, fell in love instantly. Looked at a couple, but it just, all the timing was just perfect when it came to this
Mhm.
house. And even more crazier, I had manifested, because I obviously grown adult, have bills, have debts because of reasons. I had it in my head. A lot of my bills, like a lot of my credit cards and stuff, was going to be paid off the end of last year. So the plan was, okay, if I get most of this stuff paid off in December and I purchase a house around that time, or around November, then I'll have like a whole month where I don't have a mortgage, pay off the rest of my bills, and then go right into having a mortgage with way less debt. And that's
Mhm.
literally what happened. Like my first mortgage was obviously January, and my
Mhm.
stuff was paid off last month. So it was like, so
Woo-woo.
there's a story for you guys about manifesting, and that's how I manifest, and that's what primarily works for me.
Mhm.
So I still struggle with things like I feel like a faulty wire.
Oh
You just gotta
no.
jiggle it a little bit.
That just like, yeah.
Eh, eh.
Reminds me of this Chi hair straightener I got from the thrift store one time. It was $1, and you just had to, wiggle the cord a little. So, uh,
I'm sorry, it
Je-
reminds me of back then when we used to have our Walkmans, and you had the
yeah.
headphones and you had to
Oh
have the
yeah.
wire in just the right spot because your earphones were
Well, that's how my manifesting works.
okay.
Okay.
So again, we'll try to like truncate like a last couple years. So Jen is the one who like opened the floodgates on my whole spiritual awakening, and I
Mhm.
do. I give her all the credit. And it started with a conversation. She came into my office and was like, "Hey, buddy," and I was like, friend." I'm like, I feel like I'm being punished,
Mhm.
right? And I went through blah blah blah. I was having just a rough morning, all the things, right? And she comes in and she's like, "Well, did you ever consider that maybe it's the universe trying to make sure that you don't die in a horrific car crash, or maybe
Mhm.
XYZ, whatever?" And I was like, "You know what, friend? You're right. I am just really looking at this in a horrible light. And I'm not kidding. Like from that moment,
Mhm.
everything fucking snowballed for me. So I was like struggling on Long Island just in a lot of different ways, right? It
Mhm.
just like wasn't aligned with me, and it wasn't until like these doors started opening and I kind of started learning more about myself and just different things that I was just like, "Oh, the problem is this place," right? But what did I do? I was like, "Ah, I just wish I had this and I wish I had that. And I just, oh, this place is so big and so expensive and this and that, la, 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 right?" And
Mhm.
all I did was see all the negative side of where I was at. And the second I was like, okay, well, we have a plan and I'm here for 4 years. And so I just better make the best of it, right?
Mhm.
And I became grateful for what I had and just start again. I hired a landscaper and hired people to help make my, area beautification and all the things. And next thing I know, this is like the short and skinny with like no details. We're fucking moving, right? The 4 year plan is out the window. We're moving in like 30 days. And then, the whole serendipitous moment of my husband was out of state for work. I flew out there and we were going to drive from Arizona to New York. And in that 2.5 days that it took us, or 3 days it takes to make that trip, we decided to sell our house. We stopped in Kansas and looked at a house. And it was funny because I just happened to know this girl and I was like, "Hey, are you still a realtor?" And she's like, "Yeah, actually." And I was like, "Hey, this is what we're looking for." She sends me this house. I saw one picture and I was like, "Done. How do I buy it?" Right? Like you said, just instantly fell in love with it. And what was
Mhm.
crazy was like a few months before, I had gotten a uh like a vision in my head about this like house.
I forgot
And
about the vision.
yeah. So then when I saw the house, I was like, "Oh my God, that was it." Right.
Mhm.
And it was better than I ever could have imagined in so
Wow.
many different ways that we won't get into here. But the point of the story is that the second that I started being grateful for all the things that I already had, it
Mhm.
was like my life went in fast forward. It was like somebody drew me back in a slingshot and then just launched me in to what I had been wishing, wanting, desiring, right?
Mhm.
So all that negativity was blocking me from becoming a vibrational match with what I wanted,
Mhm.
right? And then this little things like I quit my job.
Mhm.
I didn't have one.
Oh.
And so I'm like, I was having a hard time finding one, all the
Mhm.
things. So my husband's like, "Oh, hey, why don't we look on this site while we're driving?" He wasn't driving, I was driving. But anyway, and he's like, "Oh, hey, look, let's call this guy." So I call this guy and he's like, "Oh my God, you're perfect. We've been having such a hard," I'm not even kidding. He was like, "We've been having such a hard time filling this job and you have all the qualifications." I was like, "There's no freaking way this is actually happening right now." Right. So not only did I find a job, but I found a higher paying job, right?
Mhm.
And all the things that I wanted. Right.
Mhm.
And then like, bro, this is where I get like, when I start getting down in the dumps, because like you said, everybody
Mhm.
does it, right? You want a thing and you start getting impatient. You want it now, like I'm there now. And that's why I have to try to like find some way to like draw myself back into this space because um you're like a little kid. I want it and I want it now. But
Yeah.
like when they freaking happen, it's just like, what the F?
Yeah.
Right.
And you
Mhm.
guys,
So I
Liz
moved.
is not exaggerating. Like it literally happened that quick. And I have to say that that is probably one of my favorite gifts the universe gave me was like giving me the power to help you.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
being able to watch that floodgate open for you, it put me in awe. I was like, oh my God. Like, sometimes you get those moments where you kind of doubt it yourself. Like, I'm saying this shit, but it's like, do I really believe it? Like, I feel like I'm talking shit right now. But then it
Mhm.
was like, it confirmed, it like verified everything for me. And I was like, I fucking knew it. Like, the universe is showing me that, also. So it wasn't just for Liz. Like, it was also a gift to me because I'm like
Mhm.
seeing it happen. Like, oh my God,
Mhm.
and literally everything I said is true.
Yeah. And so, no, but seriously, right? And I would come in and we were talking and like, so that's like really just kind of building that like energy up, right? Because it's
Mhm.
exciting. Well, I had to move like a little mini farm like halfway across the country. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh man, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. It's so expensive." Like I'm getting quotes and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I'll figure it out." Right. That's always like I don't know. It'll work itself out. So I talked to my neighbor. My neighbor's like, hey, I needed to sell a barn. And I know that sounds really weird, but anyway. And so she's like, hey, I got this guy who's actually looking for one. So puts me in touch with him. Well, it turns out he's a freaking horse shipper,
Oh,
right? And he's like, well, hey, I'll tell you what, why don't we just trade services? You give me the barn and I'll just ship your horses out for you. And I'm like, no fucking way. And he's
look
like,
at that.
all right, well, I won't be ready for like a week. So just bring them to my place and I'll just board them for you until they're ready. And then bro, I'm telling you, like, you can't make this shit up.
It just all fell into place.
Yeah. So tell us how you are able to manifest. Like, what were you doing in between all those events? Like, how were you manifesting? Because obviously you didn't plan for it to happen like that. But like, what is it? I mean, obviously you were keeping yourself in a positive mindset. But like, what was it? Do you think that was like the main thing that was like the universe was like, Liz, here you go.
Okay, well, you're gonna call me crazy, right?
No.
Because it all started with, according to Doc Cheney, I had a close encounter with God. But regardless of I had a close encounter with God, source, the universe, whatever, right?
Mhm.
I was on this long drive and I literally said to myself, like, I have thought of all the things, right? I've thought of all the things. What do I think about? I'm bored in the car. And I literally said the words, what do I think about? And it was like the universe opened itself up to me. And I'm not even kidding. What I mean by that is I was overwhelmed with joy, right? Like, it just totally, like, I could feel like my heart space exploding out into the world into a bright light, and anybody within a million miles of me could feel it. Like, that is what it felt like. And that's when I had the vision of the house.
Mhm.
And that's when I was just, I don't even know how to describe it, right? But it was this awe-inspiring, like, everything is fake,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
anything is possible,
Mhm.
right? And really, to me, what it was just like a surge of
Mhm.
just joy and possibility and just wonder, right? I came
Mhm.
back and everything was brighter and more vibrant, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was like somebody took off it was like in the Wizard of Oz when it goes from black and white to color,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, it was nuts. So then I think for me, and that's why I say I'm like that arcing faulty wire,
Mhm.
is because now I am like, when I get like that, literally anything is possible. If I think about it, it's happening, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm just so charged. At night, I'm listening to frequency music, right? I went and saw a Reiki healer, right? So now I feel like, you're moving all that trapped, stagnant energy, right? And you're just creating this like force field of magnetism.
Mhm.
And that's what I was doing. And then, yes, you're doing your like just different techniques, right? Either you're journaling about it, you're keeping your gratitude journal, right? I would say 3 things, before I went to bed and when you wake up that you're grateful for. And even if it's just like, I'm grateful to be able to breathe, I'm grateful to be able to see, I'm grateful to have my own teeth, whatever it is, right? I'm grateful to have my 5 senses that I can experience this world, whatever it is, right? And talking about it, obviously you can see I'm a big talker, but like keeping
What?
that up, and like I got to the point where, I'm not kidding, if I had a bullhorn that I could reach the entire world from the top of a mountain, I would have told everyone, like, this is the greatest shit ever. Right? Like, let me show you, let me open your eyes, right? Like, because it is amazing. But even being through all of that and having this whirlwind of just, it was like literally like floodgates opened. All the things that I had ever wanted were backed behind this thing, and the dam just broke open,
Mhm.
and everything that I ever wanted, and even better than I could ever imagine. Never in a million years had you told me I was going to be moving back to my birthplace, I'd have told you you were batshit crazy. Because it was literally when my husband and I were like, where are we retiring to? It was like, not there, not there, not there.
Yeah.
Right. And yet here I am, and it's freaking amazing. So that's the hard part, though. So 2 things, right? It was something that I wanted, but like it felt so far away, and it wasn't something that I was, I guess, really wrapped around the how.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why it felt so just like I had a general concept of like what I wanted, right? Oh, I would like to have at least 5 acres. I wound up with 9. Like, oh, I'd like to have like a smaller kind of homier feeling home. Boom, got it. But like perfect, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And like, and by no means, like, listen, you can see the door behind me. Like, it needs some TLC, but like, just I don't know. There's just an energy in the house. And
Yeah.
even my husband, who I did not think would like the Midwest, is like, babe, I really love it here. Babe,
Mm.
I really love this house. Right. And the kids are thriving and like all the things. And so there are times that I catch myself in the mornings here and I sit on my couch and I am like, fuck, thank you. Like, thank you. Like, fucking thing. Like, that's it. Like, or I'll just
Yeah.
stand outside. I probably look like a weirdo because I do have like a road out here. Right. And I'm just standing there looking like,
Funny,
"Man,
it's
this is
hilarious because I
awesome."
literally do the same thing. Like I just my house, the way it's set up, it is weavy wavy. Like there's a lot of like weavy waviness through. I don't know why. That's just the way the house is.
What
But
is
I'll
it
just
called again?
weavy waviness.
Weavy.
Okay.
So I'll just weavy wavy throughout my house. I'm like, this is my house. I'll just go to my front window. I'll just stand and stare like a weirdo. I'm probably the weird old lady on the street because like I just do weird shit because I'm so happy. And I feel you on that one. But I think it's important for everybody to know that while Liz was manifesting for all this stuff to happen, she wasn't just sitting there and just saying, I wish, and then waiting. Like she was doing the work, putting, getting her vibration, her energy up there, remaining grateful, going to work. Like she wasn't just sitting at home hoping and wishing that it was just, it's not magic. And
Still
I
working
think,
on that one.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's not magic. I think it's the same with like, it's essentially prayers. Like, I don't know if everyone's religious or not. I'm a Lutheran. Prayer is essentially manifesting. You're thanking God, the creator of the universe, for his creations and whatnot. People use it like it's a genie. Like, dear God, please bless me with $1 million tomorrow. Amen. No, sorry, he's not a magic genie. Like prayer is the same way. You show great, gratitude and express feelings and all that stuff. So I just remember that you still have to do the things. You can't just sit there and
Well, and there are steps,
yeah.
right? Like there are still physical, like real world, boring ass bills, adult shit that
Yeah.
you have to do to
Mhm.
get there.
Yeah, I just
Right.
want to make sure I put that disclaimer because before
One
somebody's like,
hundred
"Well, the
percent.
cosmic compass said if I wish it, I
Yeah.
get it." Like,
Yeah.
Well,
no.
again, just like with there were certain things, right? Like I still had to order 3 tractor trailers and
Yeah.
load that shit up to
Mhm.
get it
Yeah.
all here. It didn't just magically poof over there. So there was a lot of blood, sweat, tears involved. But you know, because I was just so awe-inspired by the
Mhm.
flow of things, I was going with the flow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. And that is the biggest thing is once it starts moving, resistance is futile. I couldn't help it. It's what lowers your vibration. It's what stops things. It's what corks the dam.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're like, well, that's not the way that I wanted it. Right.
Mhm.
Then, like you said, it's almost like an ungrateful little kid, like at Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of what I wanted, but not really what I wanted, right? Or, something like that. But like I said, what's hard is living in the duality of the fact that you are a co-creator, that you have the power to change your life and make it whatever you want.
Mhm.
But yeah, you might have to go to school and get a degree. Yeah, and you know what I'm saying? So like again, there's like still those little real world things, but what happens is those things, those steps, those tasks that you have to complete in order to achieve the goal start falling into your lap,
Mhm.
right? So when you're like, "Hey, I really want this job," just as an example, but I need to have a degree or some continued learning or whatever, and like it's a little bit outside of what I'm comfortable paying or whatever the thing is, and you're like, I don't know, something will happen, right?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, whatever, they're offering 50% off tuition.
Yeah.
Or there's you get something that says, hey, write this whatever letter to us, and we're taking people for, you know, whatever, we're offering free
Yeah.
scholarships to whoever
Mhm.
writes the best letter, or whatever the case may be, right? Those types of things will start falling into alignment with you. And then when things start to feel like square peg round hole,
Mhm.
it might just mean you need to make a left
Yeah.
or make a right or whatever, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not for you.
Right.
What is it that everybody says is that, like, if you desire a thing, it means that it's already yours in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So
I have a
you
lot
just
of
have
things I
to,
desire.
yeah. I bet.
Samesies.
So
Oh,
you just
Jesus.
have
Sorry, sidetrack.
she's like, desire.
Desire.
But okay, but that brings up a really good point, right? Because there's a difference between in want, right?
Mhm.
And when you get into like these manifestation rabbit holes, you can want something like the example Jen brought before, which was like, oh, I really need $500 so I can make my rent. Or, oh man, I really like that car. I mean, that's a nice car. I can see myself sitting in that car, right?
Mhm.
Now, do you see that they're both wants,
Mm-hmm.
but the difference between I really need this $500, right? We come from a place of lack, right? Which is
Mhm.
essentially a place of no faith, right? Because we're worried about the outcome of a situation,
Fear.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
The universe always has your back. It's always going to work out.
Mhm.
And even though things may look like they're falling apart, they're really,
Falling into place.
yeah,
Mhm.
Nailed it.
And so, that's the hard part. We have to sit back and you have to say, okay, if you can look at it from this perspective of, I asked to come here, I asked to be in the situation, what in the world could I possibly have said I could learn from this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than saying, I feel like I'm being punished because I'm having a rough day.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Or rather than saying, why does all this bad stuff always happen to me? It's not good
Mhm.
or bad. It's
Mhm.
just a thing that's happening to you. And it's an experience. And
Mhm.
when you can start looking at it like that, then it affects your vibrational level a lot less.
And also, when you keep saying, why does everything bad keep happening to me? You're speaking that into existence, and that's what you're attracting, the bad things that keep happening to you.
Which is
Yep.
also a version of
Manifesting.
what?
Isn't it weird? Isn't it crazy how things work out?
But
So
it's
is
true.
that where your faulty wire comes in? Because I know that's where potentially my faulty wire is trying to live in the live like it's mine now versus like obviously there's still reality. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because I know the way some people talk, and I'm not trying to like knock some of these people, but the way some people talk, they literally make it sound like, how do I want to phrase this? They're potentially giving people advice, or essentially giving people advice to make them be crazy. Like, oh, just pretend that you're this person and that you're with that. You know what I mean? Like the way they do
Yeah.
it, like you're now you're teetering with craziness. Like don't do that. But
Mhm.
I lost my train of thought because I don't reasons.
I've been trying to manifest some type of career for myself because I've been a stay-at-home mom for so long. I mean, I've had a career before I had the kids, and I feel like, I don't know, sometimes it takes a certain kind of person, like in the situation that I'm in. But I didn't have kids until I was older. But before then, like I became a hairstylist and I did makeup and movies, and then I was a flight attendant and I traveled the world. I did all that stuff before I had kids, right? So then I'm like, okay, this is my time. I'm going to sit home and I'm going to raise my kids and be a stay-at-home mom. And now that they're all older, I'm just like, I really want to get back into the field. I don't know what I want to do though. I don't know if I want to do hair. I don't know if I want to, because I'm a good baker too, and I'm cake, designer, but those kind of things I just don't know, and I just keep saying, please just send me something. Like,
So is that,
Please. No, I'm
Right?
joking.
Oh, look at what
so,
you did, right?
so if
No.
that's how you're doing it,
No, that's not how I'm actually doing it. But I'm just
So,
saying,
let
like,
me-
I
let
no.
me-
Sometimes I feel like it's just gonna happen. It's just gonna show up, and it's just gonna happen, and it's gonna say, Tina, this is what you need to do.
It
Mhm.
will, but I will
Mhm.
give you some food for thought.
Mhm.
So you have to get excited about it. So part of the reason why you're blocking whatever's
Mhm.
next for you is because you keep saying the words, well, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
So going back to what Jen was saying,
Mhm.
right? All you're doing when you say those things is projecting into the world that
Blocking.
you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So it's just going to
Yeah.
keep giving you examples that you don't know. So instead, you can ask, right?
Mhm.
Something more open-ended, right? So
Mhm.
there's the whisper prayer that some people say, which is you just say 3 times in a whisper as you're falling
Mhm.
asleep, right?
Mhm.
Thank you for showing me this problem is already resolved.
Mhm.
That's it. And you say it 3 times before you go to bed. And then you'll either have a dream or
Yeah.
that thing, that sign that you're waiting for is because you've opened up, or just ask, hey, you know what? I wonder what's next for me. See how
Yeah.
cute I got there?
Just
I don't know why I did that. But asking those types of open-ended questions, right?
yeah.
Is, because then it'll start prompting those thoughts, right? And then start journaling on it, right? If I
Yeah.
could do anything,
We journal.
because I have the possibilities are limitless, right? If
Mhm.
I could do anything, what would it be? And just start writing down whatever comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
Or if you really wanted to get techie with it, you could start looking into your human design and start going that route, right? And learning more
Well,
about it.
I have. No.
And that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
But
Yep.
right, words have meanings and words have energy.
Mhm.
And when we say things like I'm broke, right? I
Mhm.
can't afford that. It's impossible. The
Mhm.
universe doesn't know the word no.
Mhm.
So when you say I'm broke, the universe says, yes, you are.
You're
When
broke.
you tell the universe, I don't know, it says, yep, you sure don't, right? It
It's like that
always
annoying friend.
Yeah.
100%,
No.
but it always says yes. So if it always says yes, then rephrase your question,
Mhm.
right?
That's
So
a good
when we
analogy.
Yeah.
so when we say things too, where again you start coming from a place of frustration, really, when you're
Mhm.
like, oh God, I really just don't know. Could you like help me out here? Right? It does come
Mhm.
somewhere from this lack place of whatever
Yeah.
fear that you're going to be die of boredom, whatever it is, right? And
Mhm.
all those little things block. They're all blocks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why I'm like that
Mhm.
live wire,
Mhm.
because sometimes I am dialed in, I am tapped in, tuned in, turned on, right? Like I am, hit me.
Yep.
What do you want? Because I'm about to get it, right? And then sometimes, like where I currently am, I want it so freaking bad. I can taste it and I want it now.
Right.
And so every day that I wake up and I still don't have it now,
Mhm.
I'm like,
You're keeping yourself in that spot and that
brother.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
and here's the sad part, right? I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
then I'm like, knock it off,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? Knock it off. How can we relook at this, right? Like, also, too, you have to remind yourself of sometimes what's currently going on in your reality is something that you manifested previously.
Right.
Mhm.
So there was a point in my life where this is really what I thought I wanted.
Mhm.
And now I'm here and I'm like, cool, I made it. This is fucking awful. Get me out. So, like, you have to remind yourself of that. Like,
Mhm.
oh, dang, I really did probably call this into existence.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
that's the biggest thing is being mindful, because imagine the you open the gate, right? And so everything's you're manifesting everything's working. and then something bad happens and the gates start to close a little bit. And then you
Mhm.
you remind yourself, oh yeah, I gotta keep my vibrations higher. Then it starts to open back up. But the more things happening, so then you might be at this point right now where things you've beat down on yourself so much that you got this little bit. So manifestations are coming out just a smidgen, just a teeny tiny bit. But then you just gotta be mindful and keep those.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So I think there's that, and then there's other things that I think happen, which kind of bring me into my maybe.
Oh yeah.
Listen,
Forgot all about that.
gee, thanks. No, honestly, I'm kind of glad you did, because I was like, man, I really hope that this is mind blowing and that you guys aren't disappointed when I say this and be like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Anyways, do you guys think that mass manifesting is a thing?
Yes.
Do you think it's possible? Because I believe it. I like we've all known that. Like, when they say, oh, people are waking up, whatever. Like, I do believe that mass manifesting is a thing. I also believe, now this might be conspiracy theory brain, Jen, but I do think that it is very possible, and this is one reason why I wanted to talk about this, because I wanted to make people aware so that they can protect their energies from these things. But I do think that it's very possible for subliminal messages to be getting implanted into our subconscious to make us manifest those things.
100%.
Yeah. Kind of
So-
in a way.
So you guys see what I'm getting with? So like, for example, what was the example? So me and Lori were talking, right? We had our little session, and we were talking, and I was talking about what the fuck was I talking about? I know I was talking about movies, and I was talking about how it's so weird how, like, you watch these movies and, like, things from these movies, and people are like, oh, it's just a movie, you can't believe it. But it's like, things are actually happening. Because I do believe that there is a lot of truth to even the most craziest of movies. I do believe that there is some sort of truth to it that they are trying to hint us in on. And I was talking about that, and I was like, I think that it's possible that people are getting possibly brainwashed or, whatever in these movies, and we're mass manifesting things. And that's when it just blew my mind, because I was like, oh my God, think about, and it doesn't have to be negative. Like, I know, like, when I say things like conspiracy theories and mass manifesting and brainwashing, like, I'm not meaning that all even though brainwashing is pretty negative, I'm not meaning that, like, it doesn't always have to be negative. For example, I think one of the greatest examples of, I would consider this mass manifesting is, not trying to make this all religious or whatever, but a lot of people are like, man, we need more Jesus. People need more God in their life. We need more light. We need more love. We need this. We need that. And people were starting to manifest it. Like, that's one of the things I was manifesting, was like, just more love in the world. Like, wouldn't it be wonderful if just everyone loved each other more? Wouldn't it be wonderful if people started believing in God again? And what have we started seeing over the past, like, year or two? We are seeing athletes. We are seeing celebrities. We are seeing all of this big, grand recognition of God. And, like, even, we got to talk about sports, and we got to talk about the national championship, but even the college football national championship, you had two teams that were probably the most religious teams this season. Notre Dame, obviously Catholic school, and the Ohio State, who 99% of the players, when they run out onto the field, they all take a knee and pray. Like, very religious, very, God directed. And then you see these things in the media, like, and I think, not to bring politics into it, but I think when that incident, when they tried to assassinate Trump happened, and people started like, oh my God, like, because obviously it was that freaking close to done. And I think when people saw that real life act of God happen in front of their eyes like that, I think that also brought in another mass, like, manifestation of, like, more believers. I don't know if I'm making that right comparison as far as mass manifesting into good light. You know what I mean? Like, do you understand?
So let me ask you this. So what did you see, read, or experience, right, that made that pop into your brain?
Which part? The mass manifesting?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I was talking to Lori, and my memory's terrible, Liz. You know that. I have the worst memory in the
Stop
world.
saying that, Jen.
I have the greatest memory in the world.
That's right.
We were talking about movies, and I was just talking about how, because what happened was I was initially talking about brainwashing. I'm like, I really think that things are getting put into movies and TV shows because I make these connections. Like, there's a lot of shows and movies that I watch over and over and over. And one of the reasons I watch, besides the fact that I enjoy the hell out of them, I like to pick up on new things. Like, every time I could watch, like Clone Wars, I've seen the whole series like 3 times now. And every time I watch it, it's like I find something new, just as a small example. Right now, I'm making my way back through the Arrowverse, and I'm picking up things, and I'm like, wait a minute. You start picking up on things that are connected to spirituality. Like, wait a minute. He just meant, because, oh, here's a big one. You always think it's weird, like, and I get that they edit, people are gonna be like, oh, they edit it because it's a movie, and like, you know, you got to save time, you don't want a bunch of dead space. But like, think about it this way. For example, in the Green Arrow, I can't remember, I'm just gonna make this up. So Stephen Amell plays the Arrow, and he's like, man, I really need to get into that facility, but I don't know anyone that works with that facility. And then boom, in comes John Diggle, like, oh, hey, I know somebody that works in that facility. Like, literally, we just watched the Green Arrow manifest getting into that facility within seconds. So I think they're showing people manifesting, but covering it up with like editing. You know what I mean? That's just a really
well, yes, but like to go on to what you were saying, like with movies, right? Because I totally agree that, like, I watch things now that I've watched like in the past, and I hear or catch phrases. They're like,
yeah,
did he just say that?
Right.
Did he just say that words have meaning, and that when you say these things, you put them out into the universe? Did he just say that? Okay, but when we're talking about the mass, so again, I was watching that episode of Dolores Cannon, and God, I really hope I'm saying the right name there. And she was talking about how a place does not exist until you arrive there. So like, she was speaking to a big crowd of people, and she was like, this place did not exist until you all thought of its existence. Right. And so that's where I believe that what you're talking about, like a mass manifestation, is that essentially, to put it into like a visual, is that we all came here. And you have to think about how many eons of time have passed since where we are currently, right? And it was like when you first start up your Minecraft game, and it's just blank. There ain't nothing out there, right? And then you think of, I want to build a house, but you build it however you want, right? And so same thing. So that's where we go back into the quantum physics part, right? A chair is only a chair because we all believe it's a chair.
Right.
We all vibrationally form the chair, right? So somewhere, let's say the creator of that chair, right? Imagine a little guy with like a wood and a tools, right? And he's like whittling out this chair, right? And he's bringing it into his vision into existence. And then he shows it to you and says, ta-da, a chair, and describes it to you energetically, of course, but maybe verbally too.
Yeah.
And then now you see the same thing. And that's how I think, like, that's real, right? Because all the things that exist in our reality are because it's a collective thought,
right,
that these things exist, right? And it was kind of like Jen and I had a conversation once about, she was driving around in your town, remember? You were out doing deliveries or something like that, and you were like, I made this turn, and you were like, I had never been down this road before.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember she told me about that.
I'm kind of vaguely remembering.
Anyway, and you were like, it was like a video game, and it was like I hadn't unlocked that level yet, and I finally unlocked it. Like, you were talking about how the map, and so that's
my God, I forgot about that. You just freaking re-blew my mind.
But that
you re-blew her mind.
Re-blew my mind.
But that's where I feel like those glimpses of the Matrix, right, come in, where when things really start to look fake, they start to look make believe, because you're like, that road never existed before. Right? Or why did I never see that before? Right? Or, you know, you just start, like you said, like life is the same way as rewatching your shows, right? When you start taking in the drive that you've made every day for the last 15 years, you're like, dang, when did they build a Home Depot over there?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Has that always been there? Right? You start noticing the things in your environment, but it's because I feel like you became a part of that collective manifestation. And
Mhm.
that's why you saw it, because now you're a vibrational match to all the other people
Mhm.
who created or manifested those things. And that's what creates our reality.
Yeah.
And so,
Mhm.
going back to what you said about subliminal messaging and all that kind of course, because what do we do, right? It is not beyond a fathomable idea or concept, because what do we do when we are trying to manifest? You talked about that time, right? When
Mhm.
you're just about to go to sleep and
Yeah.
become unconscious. Where are you?
Yeah, right
Accessing your subconscious.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People go through what? Hypnotherapy or
Mhm.
hypnotism, right? To access their subconscious,
Mhm.
right? To access information, to access past thoughts, past lives, whatever it is, right? To reprogram your mind,
Mhm.
right? People who, that's why hypnosis is a thing. We access you, we put you in a relaxed state, we get you in that gap that you're talking
Mhm.
about, right? And we access your subconscious, and then we implant
Mhm.
a positive thought
Yeah.
in an attempt to rewire your thought process.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So why would it be beyond a reasonable thought to say that the things that you watch, listen to, right, all have the potential to have messaging in them,
Yeah.
Mhm.
or just the repeated exposure to something,
Right.
right?
And
That's
I
why
would
they
like
tell you
to
when you're on a spiritual like journey or awakening to distance yourself from social media, the
Mhm.
news outlets, right?
Yeah.
Because of the power of suggestion.
Yeah. And I think like that's something I definitely want to do a deep dive into, like when it comes to all being able to access the subconscious like that, because obviously they figured it out. Like I know they figured it out, which is why they're able to do the things that they're able, like, the man, this is making me sound like a freaking crazy person, but I think that they're able to accomplish certain things because they figured out how to hit that frequency. So one thing that I have really noticed with movies and TV shows, and there's times I do have to stop watching because my ears are really, it might seem like I'm not paying attention and don't listen, but my ears are really sensitive, and
Mhm.
I can literally hear frequencies. Like I can hear when the TV's on. I can hear, the speakers, even though there's no sound coming out. Like I hear these
Jen,
things.
did
What?
we just become best friends?
I-
That's the way I am, and everyone around me thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah, like people think I'm crazy too, but
I'm like, you don't hear that?
yeah, but so
Mhm.
so the fact that we're so sensitive, so now you're gonna pick up on it
Mhm.
when you start watching these movies and TV shows,
Mhm.
because I'm so sensitive to some of these frequencies. I can hear, like, they'll put frequencies in these TVs and movie shows that, like, it's like, why is that there? Like, it'll be to the point where, like, it fucking hurts my ears. Like, why is that there? But normal people don't hear it. So I'm thinking that this is why I wanted to explore this, because and mention this, because I want to be able to provide people a way of protecting themselves. Like, I do not, welcome any negative energy. Whatever, I rebuke it. Whatever it is that you got to say to protect yourself, make sure you're going in and protecting yourself before, because I don't think that there's anything wrong with being able to enjoy the adventure of a movie or TV show. Like, I know that there's like all this bad stuff behind it and there's all the bad subliminal messages, but I do believe that there is a way to protect yourself so that you can just enjoy the adventure for the adventure, instead of the high pitched frequency that we don't know what the heck it's doing to our pituitary gland that they've already
Mhm.
been calcifying. Like,
Mhm.
But going back to what we've been talking about this whole time, right? It only works if you believe it works.
mm-hmm.
And that
Mhm.
goes for everything. That goes for what we're talking about right now. And like, yeah, we've given some pretty good examples, I feel like, of how it can work if
Yeah.
you put your faith in it,
Mhm.
right? But that's why
Yeah.
the placebo effect works, is
Mhm.
because the power of suggestion says, hey, I'm giving you a thing that's going to make you better. And so you believe it. And so you feel better,
Mhm.
or
right?
or is it that our bodies actually have the ability to heal themselves?
Oh, they 100% do. But you
Yeah.
have to believe it.
Yeah, there it is. You got to
Yeah,
believe it,
you
because
gotta
I
believe it.
firmly believe that our bodies have the capabilities of healing ourselves within reason. Like, obviously, if my arm fucking gets chopped off, I'm not going to be able to regrow a new one. I'm not a lizard person, as not an
Well,
alien.
listen, if you're going to limit yourself like that, by all means,
I mean,
Get her, Tina.
But anyways, that was my mind-blowing thing. I believe that there, because it was the frequencies, like I said, me and Lori were talking about it, and it was coming out as I was saying it. I was like, oh my god, like they're finding a way to get into our subconscious. Like, what if we are, mass manifesting something that we don't want? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But remember, right? So yes, all the things you're saying, I'm totally like 100% like, get me my little tinfoil hat, right? However, comma, you have the power to control your reality.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So the second that you release that and you say, that is not for me, I want no part in that,
Mhm.
watch how it drops out of your reality.
Yeah.
And that's not to say not to look out for
Yeah.
it. It's great to be aware of it, but I think that's part of how you can protect yourself.
And maybe this is my path of like or making it into my reality, of making it non-existent, because now I'm telling all 5,000 million people that watch our podcast and listen to our podcast that they have to protect themselves from music and media, and protect their subconscious. So when you go into these things, just say that I do not accept any unwanted energies into my bubble,
Space.
whatever,
Love it.
my space.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
now it's gonna stop. No more
Yeah.
high frequency sounds for Jen. At
Unless they're
least,
good ones.
unless they're good
Mhm.
ones. Only
Well,
the
you
good
want-
ones.
I have this theory
Yes, let's
Yeah.
hear it.
that tinnitus in my ear is not tinnitus at all.
Oh no, it's not.
Mm-mm.
I really, because maybe it's just me, and I'm like, oh, that sounds an awful lot like white noise, like static. Like,
Mhm.
remember when TVs used
Mhm.
to turn off at night, or the cable used to quit, and it would just,
That's how old we all are.
Right?
Sadly.
But I feel like somebody's watching me. Sorry, it happens.
It's a
I feel like it's my brain trying to like tune in Tokyo, right? Like I'm trying to tune in to source, your higher self, whatever it is, right? And so it gets loud and fuzzy because it's like a part of my brain that's like kind of being activated or stimulated or whatever, but I still haven't quite figured out how to.
you want to know? I'll tell you. And this
Ooh, hit me.
This literally works for me every single time I get that high pitched ringing. That's tinnitus. I stop and I say, okay, that's a little bit loud. I'm listening. And it's like somebody takes a volume thing and just goes.
Now for that, yes. Now that only comes in and out. That's not a constant thing for me. But like when it's really quiet, I hear like static.
Mhm.
And so
like
sometimes
actual static.
Yeah.
Oh, so
sometimes I
your
wanna be
tinnitus
like,
is staticky?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard static. I thought
No,
you were
wait.
meaning like the tinnitus, the
Well, that comes in.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think back now because I had it really, really bad to where I was like, wow, is this what people with tinnitus really struggle from? Right? Like it was, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I wanted to rip my ears off
Mhm.
because I was like, can someone for the love of Pete just make it stop? However, if my memory serves me, right, I think that happened right before all my awe-inspiring moments.
That was
Like,
that was your higher self trying to communicate with you. That's
Somebody
why.
was
Yeah.
That's why
screaming like,
screaming
"Pay
loud.
attention!"
That's why I
Mhm.
say like, because I'll hear it, and as soon because it's loud, like and it's usually my left ear. I know supposedly there's meanings for each ear. I have no idea
Mhm.
what they are, but it's always my left ear.
Topic for a different day.
Yeah, it's loud, and I'll be like, I'll stop, I'll pause whatever I'm watching. I'm like, okay, I'm listening, but you're being a little loud, and then literally like a volume. It's just like.
So then,
Wait,
right,
how
to
does that
tie
go
that
again?
back into the conversation for today, right, is monitoring when that happens or if that happens when you're thinking about a thing that you're trying to manifest,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because if and when it does, because it happens to me sometimes when I'm thinking about something, right, my ear will start to ring and I'll literally say something like hello, or I'll be like, I'm listening. And like you said, it'll stop, right? And then usually that's, they'll recommend that you kind of go back and be like, oh, what was I thinking about? Because it's usually like an indicator, right? That someone's trying to say, yeah, think more like that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's that too. With your static, you should just be like, okay, I'm trying to tune in. It would be wonderful to have a little bit of assistance.
Mhm.
Try
I'm gonna
that.
let you know. I'm gonna let you know how it works out.
Yeah, let me know.
Because I would
Or
really like to.
maybe get those old school antennas
Bruh,
Ooh.
is this some foil?
and
Mm.
or a coat hanger standing on a
Oh,
chair
there
with
you
your
go.
foot in the air. What do you kids know about that?
I'm on the top of my garage, like,
Down. To the left.
Perfect. Are you sure?
don't move.
Okay, this isn't comfortable. Oh man.
Oh, well, does anybody have anything else that they want to add or share about manifesting? Tina, I feel like we'd really just kind of like,
No,
I know, poor Tina.
I'm learning a little bit of things here and there, but I do believe in manifesting. And I always just think that, like me, like I say stuff like it's happening like now. Like thank you, Max, for barking and interrupting. No, and then like another thing too, because like me and the kids, like we're big believers. Like when you see like your numbers like 888 or 777 and stuff like that, we always thank the universe, we thank God, and we thank, you know, what we believe in, and that you give me whatever I want because everything works out for me.
Yeah, I love it. Have you had a
Mhm.
lot of success with manifesting?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, love to hear that.
Yeah.
Look, you guys, it's real. I promise you, it's real. It is so real that now, no, I'm gonna say that this is real. Well, it is real.
It is
But
real.
no, what I was the example I was getting ready to say. So
Oh.
whenever I watch Ohio State, or actually pretty much any football game, I like to try to pre-call calls. So I'll be like, pick 6, Caleb Downs, like something like that. I shit you not, you guys, this is exactly what happened. I'm watching Ohio State versus Texas. It's coming down to the wire. Like Texas is like they're at the goal line getting ready to tie the game up. And I was like, oh my God, Jack Sawyer with a sack. Jack Sawyer with a sack. Jack Sawyer with a sack. Jack Sawyer came up with a strip sack. The guy fumbled the ball. He scooped it up and ran it in for a touchdown. I'm like, that's not even what I asked for, but it's even better.
okay, so then that begs the question, did you manifest it? Or did you predict it?
I manifested it because I spoke it into existence. And I was on that
Fair enough.
vibration of Jack Sawyer sacking the quarterback. But I was apparently way higher because he not only sacked him, but he got the ball and got a touchdown. It was great. Love my Buckeyes. National champs, baby.
Yeah, like there's been like a lot of times, like it's like what you said, Liz, like when you feel it and you're excited about it, when I have like events or something that I really like need, or something that I know it's gonna happen I swear, like within 3 months it happens. Because
love
I'm
it.
really excited about it, and I'm just like, you know what, this is happening.
How often do you guys experience the bird before landing? Have we ever talked about that, Tina? You know what the birds before landing is?
Mm-mm.
So when you manifest something, you'll start seeing signs about it.
Oh, yeah, it's like, I don't know, it just starts happening. Like once when I get it in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think about it, it just starts happening.
So, well, what I'm asking
It's
is, do you
not like,
see like a bunch like signs, like pretty much affirming that, hey, you're getting this?
pretty much, yeah.
Love it. Fucking
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, it's happened quite a few times in my life, in my 40 years of life.
In your current existence?
Yeah.
In your current existence, in this life, in
Yes.
this universe? Because
Yeah, most recently stuff too. So yeah.
that's like another crazy theory of mine. I'm not gonna go there.
But like I said, like the only thing that I feel, which I'm blessed and I'm thankful for, that I don't have. I mean, everybody has problems, right? And it just depends on how you look at your situation and what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like right now, just the timing in my life right now, I feel like I'm just like stuck, you know? So my main thing now is I'm going to release it all, and I'm going to start to ask the universe, start manifesting, hey, what do you need me for?
There you go. And it'll happen,
Such
buddy.
a
Because I'm
great
telling you, like,
question.
literally, that's I
Mhm.
mean, you guys both know. Like, that's how I've been. Like, before I moved, stuck. I'm
Mhm.
kind of getting into a little funk now, but that's for other reasons. I'm good. I'm promise. I'm just
Mhm.
maybe going a little stir crazy. I don't know. But
Mhm.
anyways, like, it'll happen.
Mhm.
Things happen.
So
Love it.
I think too, right? So stuck sometimes isn't really stuck, right?
Mm-mm.
Stuck sometimes is the place where you need to be,
Mhm.
right? Because you're in the transition like a butterfly, right? When it's
Mhm.
coming out of that little cocoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you ever watch right? If you ever watch a butterfly or anything that cocoons and transforms
Mhm.
and comes out, how hard it is for them to like get out of there.
How's that
Wait,
go again?
how does that go?
Break out of your cocoons, buddies.
Brava. And you got to know that thing probably feels stuck as fuck.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. It's probably
Yeah.
all gooey in there.
But he's traveling in the right direction. And you got to, like, get all that old ick off of you.
Yeah.
Right? So now is the time when it's like most important and so crucial, like you said, to just freaking bring it back in.
Mhm.
Right? We center, we gratitude, we ask those open-ended questions. What do you need me for now?
Mhm.
That was like such a great
Yeah,
phrasing.
Mhm.
And then you wait,
that's
Yep.
perfect.
and then we wait. And I will say, and this is probably a topic for another day, but I did hear, right, Schumann resonance. I don't know if any of you follow that or whatever, but
been
it's
a minute.
basically like a energy chart for the earth, right?
Okay.
That people say correlates with manifesting,
Mhm.
spiritual awakenings, different things like that. So apparently we just got hit with like a boo, like a
Mhm.
full body, like lightning strike, right?
Mhm.
Big burst of new information. So you're talking like DNA upgrades, you're talking about like raising the whole, so going back to what you're saying about
Are we
mass
shifting
manifesting.
timelines again?
Well, not so much even that, but like you're raising the vibration of
Mhm.
the earth as a whole, which
Mhm.
links into your theory about mass
Mass
manifestation.
manifesting, because we've been saying it. The light's coming to squash out the darkness, and if
Mhm.
if the energies are going up,
So you sometimes you like experience these symptoms. Some of
Mhm.
them are like feeling like you're stuck,
Mhm.
headaches, fatigue, whatever, right? Just
Yeah.
feeling grumpy, agitated for like no fucking reason, bro. I'm telling you. Anyway,
that's what's wrong.
so
That's
like
why I've been in a funk.
Because you're grumpy.
so
Schumann-
because your how do I want to say this?
What's that called? The Schumann
Resonance?
resonance? Because the Schumann resonance, because the frequencies were so wonky, that's what's affecting.
Well,
our...
it's so like concentrated,
Mhm.
right? It takes time for your body to like adjust,
yeah.
right? So you go through these like ascension symptoms, if
Yeah.
you will, right? And so if you're like experiencing any of those, what may seem like conflict, old stuff coming up, different
Mhm.
things like that, like have any of you seen the analogy that the lady has the glass, right? And she fills it full of like ping pong balls.
Yeah, and
right?
then
Yeah,
the, and then the sand, and then
And then
the
she pours the water
Yeah.
in, and the ping pong balls rise to the top and they start spilling over. And
Mhm.
she's like, every time you heal for something or every time you learn something about yourself, like all this old stuff comes out, right?
Mhm.
So to make room for new things, we got to get rid of
the old stuff.
The old stuff.
the old stuff.
Ah.
And so that's kind of what that stuck feeling is,
Mhm.
right? And so again, just knowing that this is a good thing, that
Mhm.
you're coming out of that cocoon. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little mad right now that I hadn't thought about the Schumann resonance or whatever, because like the past, I'd say 2 weeks probably, I've just been in this funk, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't know what's wrong with me. Like life is great. I have my own house. Like I just
100%.
told you I was prancing around like my house, but then
So
I just
why
started-
am I so
Yeah,
angry?
so like, why am I
Yeah.
getting? Oh my god, I snapped off at people in the bowling alley the other day because they were getting on my fucking nerves. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. It's the energies that are
Listen,
affecting me.
I was in my barn the other day crying, right? Why? Nothing's wrong. And
I woke up crying. literally woke up the one day and I sat on the couch and I just started crying. I'm like, I don't know why this is happening. I'm just gonna let it
100%.
happen.
So, but again, right? What are all of these things that we're describing?
Energy.
Negative energies,
But
releases,
it's
releases,
Releases.
Experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
Getting rid of
experience,
getting
Mhm.
right? And even though it feels like it's falling apart or it just feels weird and we don't really know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's for us to be like, I wonder
Yeah.
if this is like a growing phase, right? Growing phases are always uncomfortable. Do you
Yeah.
remember being a teenager?
I'm growing up.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
just
And
gotta-
when you start looking at it like that, what does it do? It makes you excited. When we
Excited.
get excited, what
Super
do we
excited.
do?
We
We
raise our
turn into that
energies
sparking wire that happens to be in the right place to make shit
up.
happen.
And then we change his colors.
Yeah.
We got her.
Yay!
Oh my god, I feel like we should definitely pull a card before
Okay,
we
yeah.
end this. So let me go
Do it.
grab my cards real quick.
Do it, do
Okay.
it.
Do it. Do it.
So you're definitely going to have to keep us posted
I will.
on what kind of feedback you get from your open-ended questions.
I am. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna journal it.
Yes.
I'm gonna write it down. If I have something and it pops up, I do have a notebook next to my bed.
Yeah.
In my
Nightstand,
yes,
bed
that's the
table,
word.
whatever
Yeah.
you'd like to call it.
So like when I have like certain dreams, I'm like, oh my god, Which speaking of dreams, Jen, I have to tell you something later. Okay.
Okay. Oh, I love it. I love the.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll tell when we're done recording. I'll tell both of you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because recording when we're
Eh.
done recording.
And it just when I tell you what happened, you're gonna think about the beginning of this podcast.
I love it.
I love it.
I love
it.
when stuff just
Mm-hmm.
That's
comes
why. That's
together.
really why I wanted to pull a card. So I need
Mhm.
somebody to pick a number.
Okay.
5.
1, 2. Oh God. 3, 4. Card number 5.
Okay.
Story of my life. This is. Can you
Nope, can't see it.
Can't
It's just the white
Come
card.
on! It's
Nope.
stupid light. Okay. It's got a snake, and he's holding a bouquet of roses that he's trying to give to, it looks like a little mouse. As I tell myself the story of what's happening in my life, I choose to make it the kind of story where even the tough parts have a sort of inner beauty. It's ultimately a happy story where every character, no matter how wicked, is doing their best. And let me tell you, it's worth it when I earned that Pulitzer Prize for the best inner monologue.
See, look at that.
Brava!
I love when that happens. That's why
Same.
that is why I love pulling these cards, because literally every single time I pull these cards, it always has to do with something that we're talking
Mhm.
about every time. And you guys, I don't know if you could see me shuffling, but I shuffled the cards. I counted out 5. That was obviously not planned. And I don't think I've ever pulled that card before.
No.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So there it is.
I love it.
I love it. All right, buddies. Well, this was fun. So much fun. I hope you
Super
guys that are watching and listening enjoyed as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
love
bye.
Bye.
Bye.